Hey there, Skeleton Key here. Welcome back to my channel. And yeah, so I've got just a little bit to talk about for my book report for week 16 of 2024. And week 16, I think I counted that right. Yeah, it says week 16 at the top. So I'm hoping that's right. And then I will get to my readathon announcement for next month's Mysteries Mayhem. But yeah, just so if you join me live, yeah, feel free to hop into the chat and we can chat there about books and readathons and all sorts of fun stuff. And if you're catching this on the replay, it is, of course, not too late. And also, if you have any questions or anything, anyway, just the comment section on the replay is available for talking about everything. So let's get right into it. So my book report for week 16 of 2024 is really, really short. I finished one book. Let me get that up on the screen. Oh, yeah. All right, I keep forgetting to move it over to another window first. Didn't used to do that, but now, yeah, I keep forgetting. So there we go. So I read Night Watching by Tracy Sierra, and I don't want to say a whole lot about it because it's, a mother is, so here, it says, reviews contain spoilers. Yes, they do. And I would say that this blurb, it's not exactly spoilery, but it's a little bit off. It describes things in a way that now, having read the entire book, I'm like, that's not quite right. So I wouldn't put too much stock in the blurb, but a mother is forced to the breaking point when her life and the lives of her children are threatened by an intruder. So the reason I don't want to talk about it and what happens is that, and my feelings about how certain themes progress, is that I feel a large part of the thematic elements, a large part of that is dependent upon the reader's reaction to and interaction with them, and also the reader's expectations moving forward. So I feel like this is one that you really should go in pretty dang cold, because it's, yeah, I think the biggest impact comes from understanding how you as a reader are reacting to certain elements of the story. I know that's super vague, and I meant that to be super vague. I will say that, yeah, I give it 4 stars, but the main reason for that is because I think there's a lot to dig into with this. But and I think a lot of things are done very, very, very well. But there were some serious pacing issues. And I can't really talk about them. You will recognize them when you start getting frustrated with the pacing. Yeah, I did find that frustrating, but yeah, other than that, I do recommend it. And that is, I read that for Literally Dead Book Club, which is, I believe, going to be Saturday. I forget what time. I think it's noon Mountain, but don't hold me to that. Just go look for the live show has been posted for that over on Books and Lala's, the Books and Lala channel. So yeah, And so I'll open up a little bit more when we get into the spoilers discussion there. I'll just be in the chat section of that. And I am looking forward to that discussion because, yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see what different reactions different readers had to a lot of things in here. But anyway, that's Night Watching by Tracy Sierra. And yeah, I think that's all I've got to share. So I'm gonna quit sharing my screen. And now we come to my big announcement. Some of you may remember that in years past, I started doing, I guess 2 years ago, I started doing a readathon in May called Mysterious Mayhem. And started off, it was just 1 week, and then I think I went to 2 weeks last year. But anyway, now I'm going all month long, and I even have cool graphics and everything. I've got a printable. I do not have this posted, the link posted yet in the description below. I'll try to do that as soon as I can. I'm not sure if it will let me update that immediately after, because I think last time I tried to update a description right afterwards, it was like, nope, processing, still processing. You can't change anything. So, okay, fine. But as soon as I can change, I can update the description, I will add a link to download the reading log page. Yeah, I just, right before we started, I just figured out how to get it from my email to my Google Drive. And well, I had it on my phone, and it was like, could you email that to me? And so, yeah, and I just figured out how to print it. Yeah, my first effort turned out like this. And I was like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. And I finally got it to show up like this. And I love it. It's great. Nice sepia tones and very mysterious. So, all right. It's going to run from the 1st of May through the 31st. And I'm going to be adding some, I still have to get my schedule for May figured out, as far as, because I am going to be doing, I might be doing a little bit of traveling, and I'm not sure. And I'm also, I've had some added responsibilities with the Poetry Society added to my schedule for May. So the Poetry Society of Colorado. And oh yes, I was reelected to the position of vice president, so I'm still doing that. But yeah, I'm the president is going to be out of the country, so I'll be taking over some of his duties and in May. So I don't have all the extra fun stuff, like, reading sprints or anything like that. I don't have that scheduled yet, but I will get that scheduled. I will be doing another video with my TBR and also some recommendations for these. But let's get to the prompts. There are 4 prompts, and I will put these in the description below so that you don't have to, scramble to take notes. But the first one, so it's, Skeleton Keys, Mysterious Mayhem. So I've got 4 prompts, 1 for each word there. So for skeleton, the prompt is an undead character. So, and by the way, a book, it doesn't have to be a novel. It doesn't have to be fiction. Short stories work, if you're in short story mode, because I know sometimes that happens to me. I'm just like, I can't deal with a chunker, or I can't even deal with a 300-page novel right now. But sometimes it's nice to just pick up a short story. So I'm perfectly fine with that. There are no readathon police here, prompt police. No. But the story needs to have an undead character. And now, of course, there's the usual vampires and zombies. But what made me think of this was animated skeletons, because the keyword here is skeleton. And of course, vampires and zombies are fine. And there's a ton. You could go classic with Le Fanu or Stoker, any of the classics. You could go modern. You can even do Twilight. I'm fine if you do Twilight. And I'm sure there's lots of new stuff that the kids are watching these days. And there's probably related content on that. So, and yeah, there's also, witches are undead, and yeah. But I was thinking animated skeletons. Now, it is true that not all animated skeletons are undead creatures. Sometimes they're just magical constructs. So, yes, like I'm an expert on animated skeletons. But for the purposes of this readathon, any kind of animated skeleton counts, because the keyword here is skeleton, and that's what got me onto the undead character. So, read a book or a story with one of those. And then key. So, it's like, I was thinking, what has a key? There's locks, there's all sorts of things. But I decided to go with a book with a map, because maps have keys. So, and of course, fantasy books are where most people's brains go for books with maps. But there's tons of nonfiction out there that has maps in it. Any kind of book about geography or history is likely to have a map of, borders changing or something. And it doesn't have to be the big fancy map of, in the front of the book. It can just be some map somewhere in there. And so, yeah, lots of nonfiction books have maps. And, there's fantasy, also mystery. Sometimes, and maybe it's not really a map of a country or a continent or something, but it could be a map of a town. A lot of cozy mysteries will have little maps showing where Miss Marple's cottage is, and where, I forget which characters were in which books, but, where the Colonel's house was, or, things like that, and where the vicarage is. And so a lot of times mysteries do. And, this is the Mysterious Mayhem Readathon. So, and of course, that's because I am a lifelong mystery buff. So, gonna do that. But of course, there's fantasy, sometimes science fiction. We'll have like diagrams of decks of spaceships. Yeah, and historical fiction also. A lot of times we'll have a map showing the location, especially if it's, someplace that Americans are not super familiar with. They might have a map so that we silly Americans can figure out where things are in the world. So, so that's any book with a map. And just because I'm probably going to read mysteries doesn't mean you have to read mysteries. Okay, so then the third keyword is mysterious. And so this would be a book that has or story that has a character using an alias. And so, of course, it goes to mysteries and especially spy novels because people are using assumed names to spy or commit crimes or to escape from something. So there's that. But also rom-coms. Sometimes that's where the comedy of the romantic comedy comes from, is that there's some sort of mix-up or somebody doesn't want to give their real name on a dating site or something, and then much wackiness ensues. And so, yeah, I think a little bit outside the genre, if you like. So, so that's mysterious. So it doesn't have to be super mysterious. It could just be wackiness. So the last prompt is mayhem. And I decided, okay, so maybe we need a character that incites mayhem. So this would be a story with a trickster or an agent provocateur character. So, an agent provocateur, it's French for inciting agent. That's usually a government or police agent who is sent in to disrupt things and incite people to do things so that they can be arrested or to just cause chaos in whatever system they're dealing with. So yeah, you see that a lot in like spy stuff or war stuff. War stories a lot of times will have an agent provocateur. But also, so the trickster, if you don't want to read war stories, or spy stories, you could go with the trickster character. And there, you could look at indigenous legends, a lot of indigenous and mythologies, like Norse mythology. Of course, there's Loki. And, so with that, you could like read Norse mythology or, and lots of mythologies have these trickster characters like Loki, but also, or coyote in Native American lore. So you could go with some Native American lit, indigenous lit, but also, if you wanted to go the Marvel direction and read a graphic novel that has Loki in it. And I'm sure there are other such characters in the world of graphic novels. And I've only read one Sandman. I don't read a lot of graphic novels, so a lot of you are probably way more knowledgeable than I am about that. But yeah, you can go all sorts of different directions and come up with things that I haven't mentioned here. And I'll be looking a little deeper at some suggestions, looking at what I'm going to be reading next month for this, and also things that I've read in the past that, oh, hey, yeah, that's got a trickster character in it. And, a lot of urban fantasy, probably. So, but for all of these prompts, I'll be putting together some recommendations and things that I've just heard good things about, and also what I'm hoping to read. So, yeah, so that's it. I just wanted to get the announcement out there. And so as soon as I can, I will be updating the description below so that you can see, so that you can print out this reading log. And it's got, a place for the, how it is. So it does have a place for the title and author for each prompt. And you can, if you are into star ratings, great. You can, there's a place for star rating, or not. You can just ignore it, or you can, just fill them in however you like. And then also, if you read any additional, it's like whether or not you finish these prompts, if you read other things that maybe don't fit a prompt, but they're mysterious or chaotic, yeah, go ahead and you can add them there below. And the hashtag is Mysterious Mayhem, and I do capitalize MAY in Mayhem so that it's a little clearer. And also my channel tag is there too, so that you can find that easier. But yeah, I realize skeleton key, just searching for skeleton key is almost impossible to find my channel, which I didn't realize when I named the channel, but oh well. I just named it after my nickname on Gmail, so it was there and I went with it. And also a big shout out, and I'll put information also for the design team over at Chad Parker Silversmith, and I'll put all the information below for that. I have no skills at putting pictures on paper or screens. That is not my talent. So yeah, I always go to them and say, hey, can you make me some pretty things? And sometimes that involves silver and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, big shout out to them. And yeah, it's nice to have people I can count on. Yay, thank you so much. And thank you for joining me this evening. And wow, this is probably the shortest live I've ever done. But I wanted to make sure that I got this out, the announcement out there, so that I can get started on putting my TBR together and list recommendations. And I'll also be watching my channel for an announcement of that video coming up probably this weekend. And yeah, if you want to, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and that way you'll get announcements of upcoming videos. And yeah, give this video a like, and I will talk at you later.